Hello world, welcome to my channel. Last week we discussed how to write your own fictional book and publish it, and today I'm going to be speaking about the 2 tarot decks I made, how that even came to be. Long story short, I picked up tarot cards when I was 14 years old for the first time in Salem, Massachusetts, and it's been history ever since. I kind of blame it on the Princess and the Frog when they had that one card scene because I saw that. I was definitely impressed. So I think any avid tarot reader can tell you, at some point they considered, it would be kind of cool if I made my own. And so, I had the thought and I made one card and it was the Chariot. Right? Isn't that nice? Like signifying we're gonna start something new. But it was like a year later that I finally started making the rest of the cards. I was like, you know what? Let's do this thing. And so this is called the Specter Gold Tarot. As you can tell, it has gold foil. It's really cute. One thing I will note and that I'm gonna speak on later is manufacturers. I don't like how they did this one. Okay? Let me get real up close and personal. Look, they didn't even foil the gold confetti. Where's the gold foil? Why is there a complete side untouched? And then why is that on the top? When it comes to overseas manufacturers, I cannot with them. If you don't hand them all of the files on a platinum platter, they act clueless. I don't know what that is. Oh, what? Because the first time they printed it, they didn't even put the foil on the cards. I was like, and I showed the agreement, and she was like, oh, like they will try to cut corners with you. They will try to act dumb. They'll be like, oh, you need to make this. I learned a lot about, so before this, I was used to more of just drawing and like creating the art itself, but I learned a lot about print production, sizing, just making it come to life correctly because printing is its own technical battle. So yes, I designed the tarot decks all myself, bought the samples myself with my own money from work, buying the bulk order of the other one I'm about to show you with my own money that I made from working. So it wasn't funded by anybody. I didn't get crowdfunded, which is something I will mention. So if you are doing a project like this, when you start, you can go on things like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, and this is something that no one told me. Kickstarter is probably better people to fund your project, but what I will say is that if you don't get people to fund it on your own, you will never hit 100% goal. Oh, well, I could just put a campaign up and it'll get 100% funded. Nope, it will not. I have not had a single 100% funded campaign on there. I think the most money I ever raised on one campaign was around $800. But it wasn't fully funded because that's not how much it costs to get it in bulk. Surprise, it's expensive. The thing, like, talking about products before it's made is kind of annoying, and like a lot of people don't like it because they're like, oh, I want it right now. Like, especially what I realized with this is like so many Americans, we already know this, that they're like, I want it now, I want it now, I want it now. But that's literally how it is. They'll see something, you'll be like, oh, that's so cool, where do I buy it? And you're like, oh, it's not available yet. And they're like, never to be seen again. You're like, wait, come back, like subscribe to the mailing list or something at least. So, or follow me, but nope. Out of sight, out of mind. With that in mind, if you are planning to start your own tarot deck, I would say start promoting it as soon as you have the thought. It is never too early to start promoting. Start getting your crowd base, your supporters up, and then even before, don't even launch when you create the Kickstarter campaign, which is a pain in the butt, and it takes at least 3 days, and you have to get processed, and they need your bank account number and all this annoying stuff and your ID, and a real person has to look over it. It's an option to have people like pre-save your campaign before it launches, and that's what I would recommend if I could start all over. Right. So social media is a good tool to promote too. It's just like, okay, if you have the upfront capital don't even worry about it. You know what I'm saying? Do not even worry about it. Also, if you're gonna order these from overseas manufacturers, keep in mind, shipping is expensive. You wanna know how much I paid for shipping for 500 of the other deck just recently? I'll tell you, $700 for shipping. Not even the cards, shipping. So you might be like, oh wow, I'm saving money on this overseas company. Ask them to give you the shipping costs as well in that quote, and then you'll see. Oh, and here's another thing. When working with overseas or out-of-country manufacturers, just because they give you a quote in the beginning does not mean that's the final quote. Be careful to look at their guidelines, because it could say like quote is valid until, you know, in 5 days. And then they'll switch it up. Oh, they always switch it up. They always, if they say, let's just throw a random number. If they say, oh, it's $5,000 after you buy the sample for, because this one cost me $150 for a sample that they didn't even do correctly. And the other one cost me like $120. Okay. So after you get the sample and you're like, okay, well, it was going to be X amount of dollars for the full order. They're like, oh, did we say that? Well, now it's $500 more. And you're like, wait, what, why? And you're like, and they're like, oh, well, some excuse. Because they know that you don't want to go through another manufacturer, do another sample process. Because how long does it take to do this? Okay. If you're fast like me, it takes me 7 months to create, develop, size, find a manufacturer, get the sample made, receive the sample. 7 months. And $150 max, and a lot of time. A lot of time. The drawing, it takes me only 2 months to design. Let me take the cards out. To design, and then look. Okay, I do not like this manufacturer. Literally, look. When they even gave it to me, I gotta show you this. I do not like them. It's ripped right here. And then as soon as I got this, they gave me to a different representative. They changed the representative that I was working with, and she was like, oh yeah, it costs more now. And I was like, but you did this wrong, you did this wrong. She's like, I don't care. And like giving me an attitude, and I'm like, this isn't even the girl I've been working with this whole time. I get this sample, it's ripped, and then not to mention this part came unglued. So I don't even know if I should tell you guys which printer it was that did this. Should I call them out? I'll show you. So I'm gonna choose the other manufacturer to do this one, because they did a good job. First of all, why is it so thick? Look at these cards. It's pink, that color pink on this side. Oh my god, that's a woodpecker, you guys. Should I show you? You see him? His red head. I was like, who is being so loud? Okay, sir. Okay, and then looky here. Oh yeah, and another thing, every manufacturer will be like, yeah, we could do that, we could do that, we could do that, we could do that. And then once they get your payment for the sample, they'll be like, oh, we can't do that. Like they told me, oh, we can't do the foiling for this peacock because it's too intricate. We can't do it. So you can do the words, but you can't do that. And you can't even foil the edges or anything. Okay. Anyways, look at this. It's not even the same color. Okay. So basically, what the lesson is, you guys, is learn from my mistake. And I know this sounds like, oh, she's just complaining. She's just complaining. No, I'm telling you and I'm warning you. Take this as a word of caution. Take this as a don't make my mistake. Not to mention, these are like, I have small hands, so I like smaller tarot decks too. But anyways, besides that, what I will say that I liked is the gold foil is pretty, and that the images that I drew were higher quality than, for some reason, the other manufacturer, when the images print on their cards, like, I feel like it's not as clear. But that's pretty much, between that and the alignment of the foil being printed on the cards, like, my only complaint that I had with them. So I'm like, I'm gonna go with the one that only had 2 screw-ups as opposed to the one with 1 million. Let me show you some of the cards. Oh yeah, and they told me that they couldn't foil this, which I'm gonna make the other person do, so. I don't know, because it's like, whether they foil that part or not, they're gonna charge me for it. So it's like, I might as well get it. Okay. So, how did I do this? I bought myself an iPad and an iPencil. I don't know if there's any other programs that you can use, but I used Procreate. And, you know, I used Adobe to basically create the box, and then the back card of the design. Like, the back card design and the box are the easiest things to make because it's just one and done, and it's the same. But for the front, I just created the general, like, you know, gold outline template, and then for each card I had a different, you know, the different label on it. And so I would import that to Procreate and then draw whatever I felt like drawing, because here, this deck is based on the original Rider-Waite. I wanted to create one, but here's the thing, I don't know about you guys, but and this is so contradictory. Should I even say this? I literally despise tarot decks that are based on the Rider-Waite with different designs. Because why am I gonna learn the same exact card meaning? That's like, okay, I know the English language, I know how to write English this way, but now I'm gonna learn how to read English written with like the Russian alphabet. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would I do that? It means the same thing, but now I have to learn different shapes. Okay. So, yeah. With this deck, and that's something that I wanted to keep in mind, was I wanted to create new imagery, and I did have one person comment on my Instagram. I had the Hanged Man be a lion with a lot of different like orbs flying off in the distance, and they were like, but why is it not a hanged man? And the reason for that is because I don't want this tarot deck to mean exactly what the original means. Like, when you look at this tarot deck, I want you to not only, like, if you're really unsure about the card, like, yes, go ahead and use the traditional meaning, but I want you to be able to look at the imagery and find new perspectives, new way of looking at it. Maybe it'll speak to you in a different way. You could even find a new interpretation. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe the imagery will correlate. You'll be like, oh my gosh, like, what was that? The Wheel of Fortune was a compass. You'll see the Wheel of Fortune and be like, oh my gosh, I just saw a compass yesterday at my dad's house. You know what I'm saying? You never know. You never know. This one's kind of cool. You got a little voodoo doll with the old fashioned. But, and you know what else is crazy? And I talked about this before, but no one cares. Like, I drew this card before I knew who this, like, Olympian girl was. And then I followed her on Instagram because I was like, oh my gosh, she's like me. If I was, like, you know, more attractive, basically. like goals, and she's super fit. And so, but then when I looked back at the Five of Pentacles actual imagery, it shows a man outside in the cold with a broken foot, right? Guess what? This girl has a chronically broken foot. So it was just like weird things kind of happen too, like synchronicities. But you know, if you work in this space or have any experience with the craft, you know that like you can't be like, oh my god, like maybe the first to like 8 times, but after that you're like, okay, makes sense, you know, that would occur. This one's one of my favorite. Look, she's like a Day of the Dead girl, and yeah, it's super cool. Look, we have Mr. Lizzie trying to get you to sell your soul. Anyways. So yeah, lots of fun drawings. This one's fun too. And this is also a great way to learn Procreate. Here we go. Here's the Hanged Man, the one that he was like, what? But you can see this. Maybe a tiger is your favorite animal. Maybe it's someone else's favorite animal. But you see how they're like in awe, but almost like starstruck. You know, that's how I see that card personally. But like I said, you're allowed to interpret it in any way that you see fit to your particular situation. I mean, you could look at this and be like, wow, someone's really into some freaky stuff. I don't know. So, yep, that's basically what my gold tarot deck looks like. Super fun, super cool. This was the first card I made, the Chariot. You can see a beautiful white horse prancing off on a planet with Saturn in the background. So yeah. And so Specter is the brand for this stuff, and my name is Jessica Specter. And basically what that brand encompasses, I know it looks demonic and everyone thinks it looks demonic, which is why I kind of like stopped using that logo or whatever, but I just thought it was cool with the horns. And then another cool synchronicity is I just added those lines, right? But it just so happens that that's Algiz, excuse me if I'm saying it wrong, Algiz, the Norse god symbol, and he means like protection, you know, basically staying strong, making it through the war. And that's literally, and I didn't know that until after again, you know what I'm saying, but that's literally what the brand encompasses, like having new perspectives, like being strong, like turning pain into something beautiful. It's kind of like emo emo, but make it cute. So yeah, it's fun. So hopefully when I get this recreated, it will be correct, and then it will be smaller, easier to fit into your hands, because when you're shuffling a deck of cards, you're gonna learn all about this. You're gonna learn all about GSM, which is basically the weight of the paper, dimensions. I'm pretty sure a traditional tarot deck is supposed to be something like 2.75 by 4.75. The width on this, let me show you. You wanna see the difference? It's crazy. This is the second one. So this one is, like I said, based off the original tarot, but I wanted to create another one afterwards because I got bored, and I was like, why not? And this one's a lot more popular because, let me preface this by saying, like, it's a brand new type of deck. It's 50 cards, and it's based on, I wanted to create one that was based on space because I love space. So I grew up by the Space Center, see rockets all the time, hear rockets go off all the time to this day. Like, that's just, you know, where I am. And I even had like a telescope growing up, but space magic is just something that you don't really hear about too much. Like, obviously you hear about, oh, I'm an Aries, this is my Venus, this is my rising, and that's amazing. And you know, all that horoscope stuff, I know everyone says like, oh, it's not real, but it's like, it is kind of cool to read up on though. You can't lie. It's always, even the people who are like, oh, it's not real, like if they read up on it, they're like, oh, this is so cool, because everyone likes reading about themselves. So yeah. And so this one is based on constellations, planetary objects, zodiac signs, and it incorporates like Greek mythology or Roman mythology, whichever. And what is so crazy is like, this is great for even people who are studying astrology. This is great for people who are even studying astrology because there's so many different things that I didn't even know. So obviously you had the first constellations, and then look at the back. That's cool. They did better on the foiling. See, they at least foiled all the sides. You know what I'm saying? And then let's compare. You see that? I don't like the chunky. I don't. And it's even shorter. Anyways, this one's good. They did good on the boxing. It's not ripped. The cards fit into the box. Bare minimum requirement. Okay, like this is your job. And this one has the little dip right here so you can, without destroying it. This one does not. I'm like, do you guys even do cards? Okay, or are you just lying to me? So, this is the back, similar to the back of the box. Cute. This one's a lot easier to shuffle because it's small. So, yes. They all have the same general front. And on my Etsy store, you can get stickers of any card in the Specter Gold Tarot, and I also sell stickers of the different zodiac signs from this deck. You can only get it from my Etsy store. I'm thinking about making all 50 cards available because, I mean, I could just print it and cut it with my Cricut. So, I'll go ahead and show you the cards while I speak. Basically, what I learned is a lot of the constellations, so like Aries and like stuff like that, are a part of Hercules' labors. And then other constellations being held by other constellations. So, for instance, Ophiuchus, which some of you may know of, is like the 13th zodiac sign, but I don't agree with that because I don't want to be a Cancer. I want to be a Leo, but I still think it's fun. Basically, he holds this snake, and the snake is also the constellation. It's also a different constellation called Serpens, which is a serpent. And I forget the story. This is so bad, but basically, Ophiuchus is like a medicine man, kind of. We got Pluto, which is also Hades. Carina is a really cute card. So this is Ophiuchus, but see, it's the ability to bring someone back from the dead. It's like a healing snake that he has. And Ophiuchus is like the serpent bearer, right? And he holds serpents, the constellation. So it's just really cool stuff like that. And that is an art piece that I actually physically made and later shredded, because I shredded all my physical artwork in a time of being upset. And then this is Lilith. You know, she's about like magic, womanly. I like this one because, you know, it's like Sisyphus. It's like trying to press back the time. Who's up pushing their boulder? We got Virgo. Virgo is actually Persephone. Did you know that? Now you do. Here's Serpens. Pretty sure it was like one head heals, one head kills, or something like that. Pisces, some koi fish. So obviously I think you should have multiple manufacturers. It's kind of nice because I had 2 decks, so I didn't have to get like 2 or 3 manufacturers for the same one. That would be kind of annoying. So I definitely did take advantage of that. That's something that you can consider too. Like I said, it took me 2 months to complete each deck. But you should also keep in mind that there was days where I literally, that's all I did is I sat down. I could, like, the max amount of drawings I made in one day I think was like 10. Chiron, this one's super cool. So Chiron is, you know the Hercules movie on Disney? Like the little horn guy, you wanna be a hero, well, whoop-de-doo, is basically like that guy. And he's supposed to be like basically like in your astrological chart, like the wounded child portion of you and like what you need to heal. It shows you what you need to heal. So this is also really good for readings if you're like, oh, like what, it could give you planets. And then if you're really into like astrology and stuff, you can use these cards in your readings to kind of guesstimate time frames or who you're dealing with. If an Aries pops out and you're talking to Aries, you know. And then even just this is my favorite one, it's Cygnus. And Cygnus basically tells a story of these 2 gods and I think this demigod, and they were riding around on the chariot or something, and I think they, don't quote me, got too close to the sun. Anyways, one of them fell into the river of Eridanus, which is also another card on here, and he was gonna die and drown, and the one guy was like, please turn me into a swan so I can save my friends. And he was like, okay, fine, like you can do that, but you have to like be a swan for the rest of your life. And so he goes down, dives down, and gets him, and he gets out of the water. You see the hands coming out, and then Zeus was pleased with it, so he puts him in the sky as a constellation. And that's what a lot of the constellation stories are. It's like, oh, he was pleased, so. And then like with Canis Major, and then it's like a dog that was chasing, like the best hunting dog that nothing could outrun was running after like the slyest something, I don't know, fox, rabbit, I don't know. And they just kept chasing each other forever, so Zeus was like, okay, you two need to stop it. Made them constellations. So it's just cool stories. And then like I said, you can really use it to up your game. And also I have a PDF downloadable guidebook that I give people when they buy this tarot deck on my Etsy, because this is the one that I'm getting right now. And what's cool about the guidebook is like if you get a card, it will also show you like the elements, the numerology if there is any, the general meaning, the story behind it, kind of like how I just told you. So super fun. But yeah, it's like great. You can do anything that you want. Like you just have to design it, and then you have to get the files prepared correctly. Usually it's going to be in Adobe. They're going to want it in some sort of Adobe format. I got away with not doing that for all of them. For the gold foil or the foiling in general, that needs to be like a separate layer. So if you're printing this and the foil is like one design, you need to take that off and like make it like a SVG. It's basically speaking printer. You're speaking printer. Okay, this is a different language, and that's what the printer understands. Okay, that's the easiest way that I can put it. And then yeah, there's gonna be a lot of different things that you learn along the way, but they'll let you know. And just weigh your options when it comes to manufacturers. No one wants to tell you they're manufacturers because we all spent the money and had to learn the hard way, and no one helped us, and it's just kind of like, you know, you kind of figure it out. But you know, if someone's being sketchy with you, and definitely ask to see photos of products that they've done before. Don't tell them that it's your first time. Do not tell them that it is your first time. Do not. You're an expert. No big deal. Because what do you think's gonna happen? Okay. So yeah, if you have any more questions, feel free to let me know. I would love to answer them. Thank you so much for staying to the end. If you have, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Next week, we're going to be going over the children's book that I just released, how I did that, and all that good stuff when it comes in the mail. So yeah, and if you want to pre-order these, like I said, it's on my Etsy store for pre-order. Bye.